The time Anna saw the address written on a torn piece of paper, she almost laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a laugh she had gotten good at over years of being disappointed. The paper had come with a picture. A man named Caleb Thorne standing awkwardly by a fence post, squinting into a sun that seemed bright for his pale face. He wasn't handsome like the men in Moscow. He was tall and lean with hands that looked like they had been shaped by work. The agency had warned her, he is a rancher from Montana. Don't expect luxury. Anna had expected to be poor. She was 28, a widow with a 3-year daughter, Irina, living in a small apartment on the outskirts of St. Petersburg. The walls were always wet. The landlord kept raising the rent. She had cleaned floors for people who didn't even notice her. When Caleb's letters arrived, written in English, she read them not for romance but to see if it was a good idea. He promised stability. He promised safety. He never promised to be rich. Montana is cold, her mother had warned. Colder than here. I know, Anna replied. Hunger, I know. A man who writes letters every week? That I don't know. The visa took 9 months. The flight took 14 hours. She held Irina's hand through security, customs, and a long descent into Billings, where the sky was so big and blue it felt like drowning. Caleb was waiting at the baggage claim holding a sign that said Anna in letters. He wore a clean flannel shirt, and jeans that had been washed many times. The knees were almost white. He smiled shyly, and when he hugged her he smelled of hay and coffee. Hello, he said. You're real. Anna smiled back. Yes. Real. The drive to his ranch took 2 hours. The landscape changed from airport buildings to prairie, then to rolling hills with big trees. Irina fell asleep in the seat, her small face pressed against the window. Caleb talked nervously about the weather, the price of beef, and his late father who had built the homestead in 1972. Anna listened, but her mind was thinking, his truck is old, his boots are scuffed. She began to plan. She would be a wife. She would cook, clean, and take care of Irina. Maybe in a year she would find work in town. Maybe in 5 they could afford a place. She had survived worse. She could survive this. The truck turned onto a gravel road that wound through a creek bed and up a hill. Caleb slowed for a cattle guard, then stopped at a gate. Home, His voice cracked with pride. Anna stepped out of the truck. The air was sharp and sweet, not like the air of St. Petersburg. Before her stood a ranch house. Wooden, with a porch that sagged a bit on one side. A barn stood 50 meters away with peeling paint. Chickens scattered near a coop. 3 horses lifted their heads from a trough. It was humble. It was what she had expected. Then she turned around. Behind the house the land didn't end. It rose into a plateau, and on that plateau stood something that made Anna's breath catch. Wind turbines. Dozens of them. White and silent, and incredibly tall, their blades turning slowly against the sky like arms. They stretched far as she could see. She had seen wind farms in pictures. She had seen them in magazines her rich clients left behind. Never like this. What is this? She whispered. Caleb shifted his feet. The wind farm. My dad started it in the 90s. We added to it after he passed. You own this? He nodded, not looking at her. 87 turbines now. Got permits for 12 next spring. Anna's mind couldn't understand. She turned back to the house. The sagging porch, the peeling paint. She looked at his truck, his boots, and how he counted change. But you live like you're poor, she said. Caleb looked at her. There was something like embarrassment in his eyes. I don't like things. Never did. The money. It's mostly in trusts and land. My granddad always said, don't let money control you. So I don't. He paused. I wrote to you because I wanted someone who wanted me. Not the turbines. Anna felt her face get hot. She had come here expecting a house. She had prepared herself for hardship. Not this. The shock wasn't the wealth itself. Though 87 turbines was a fortune. The shock was how quiet it was. How it sat in the earth like a secret. How this shy man had hidden his wealth not to trick her. Out of humility. How much? She asked, her voice dry. I'd rather not say. Caleb. He sighed. Year after expenses? About 4 million. That's before taxes and… Anna put a hand on the truck to steady herself. $4 million. In 1 year. She had cleaned toilets for 200 rubles an hour. She had rationed bread. She had watched her late husband waste away from an infection that antibiotics could have cured if they had been able to afford them. You wrote to me, she said slowly, that you hoped I wouldn't mind a life. I do hope that. Simple, she repeated. She looked at the house back at the turbines. You own a power plant. You own the wind. Caleb smiled, then a smile that crinkled his eyes. The wind owns itself. I just collect the money. Irina woke in the seat, rubbing her eyes. Mama? Are we home? Anna didn't know how to answer. She looked at Irina's face, at the smudge of chocolate on her cheek. She looked at Caleb, who was now kneeling down to Irina's level, holding out a wooden horse he had carved himself. Welcome to the Triple T, he said softly. I made you something. Irina took the horse. She turned it over in her hands. Then she climbed out of the truck. Threw her arms around Caleb's neck. He looked up at Anna over the child's shoulder, and his eyes were wet. That night, after Irina was asleep in a room with sheets and a window that faced the stars, Anna stood on the porch. The turbines were silhouettes now, their white blades silver under the moon. She heard the rhythmic whoosh whoosh whoosh. A sound she had mistaken for wind until Caleb told her it was the sound of money. He came out with 2 mugs of tea. She took one. They stood in silence for a time. I have to ask you something, she finally said. All right. Why not hire a maid? A cook? Why live like this when you could have anything? Caleb thought about it. He wasn't a thinker. He rolled words around like stones before letting them go. My mom left when I was 12. Said the ranch was isolated, too much work. My dad never remarried. He taught me that things, expensive things, they can cover up what's real. He said, son, if a woman loves you in a roof, she'll love you anywhere. He took a sip of tea. I wanted to find someone who would step off a plane, see this house and my beat-up truck, and still stay for supper. Anna felt something crack inside her chest. Not break. Crack. Like ice on a river in spring. She had come here to endure poverty. She had prepared herself for disappointment. The wind wasn't poverty. The wind was abundance, patient and humble. The man beside her wasn't a transaction. He was a door she had not known she was knocking on. I was prepared to hate this place, she admitted. I was prepared to be brave and miserable. Now? She watched a blade turn, slow and enormous, catching the invisible air. Now I think I am very tired of being brave. Caleb put down his mug. He took her hand. His palm was rough, warm, real. You don't have to be brave. You just have to be. The morning Anna woke up before dawn. She made breakfast. Eggs from the chickens, bread from a recipe her grandmother had taught her. Caleb came in from the barn, his cheeks red from the cold. Ate 3 helpings without saying a word. Irina sat between them, naming the horses: Snow, Chestnut, Banana. The 3rd horse was not banana-colored. This did not matter. After breakfast, Caleb asked if Anna wanted to see the rest of the property. She did. They walked past the turbines. Their shadows slid across the grass like sundials. He showed her the array behind the barn. Another way to make money, he said sheepishly. He showed her the creek where he fished for trout, the garden where he grew tomatoes and squashed, the workshop where he carved animals for no reason except that he liked to. You have no television, Anna said. Never wanted one, Caleb replied. No swimming pool. No sports car, she added. Got a tractor, he said with a smile. A tractor, she repeated. For the time in years she laughed. It was a laugh, not a bitter one. Caleb grinned. You want to drive it? I want to see the books, she said. The books? He asked. The accounts. The farm finances. If I am to be your wife, I need to understand what we have, she explained. I need to understand why you hide it like a guilty secret. He led her to an office attached to the barn. Inside there was a desk, a filing cabinet, and a laptop that looked old. He opened a drawer, pulled out a thick ledger, handwritten, meticulous. Anna sat down, began to read. It took her 2 hours. The numbers were amazing. The turbines made not money but also helped with taxes. The land was part of a conservation trust. There were mineral rights, water rights, grazing leases. Caleb Thorne, the rancher with the sagging porch, was worth a lot of money. Over $20 million. He lived on less than $40,000 a year. You are not simple, she said finally. You are strange. He sat across from her, elbows on his knees. Probably, he agreed. You could buy a roof, she suggested. The roof doesn't leak. The porch just settled, he said. You could buy a car that does not rattle, she said. The truck runs fine, he replied. Anna closed the ledger. She looked at him. Really looked. The plain clothes. The gentle hands. The way he had carved a horse for a child he had never met. In Russia, she said, men who have this money are not like you. They are loud. They are cruel. They buy women. Caleb flinched. I did not buy you. I wrote to you, he said. You wrote to a picture. An agency, she reminded him. I wrote to your words. You said you wanted a place where your daughter could grow up without fear. You said you liked to garden. You said you missed the sound of wind because in the city wind only sounds like trouble. He explained. I don't care about the money, Anna. I care that you came anyway. When you thought there was no money. That's why I picked you. She realized then that she had been holding her breath since the moment she stepped off the plane. She had been waiting for the catch, the lie, the debt, or the secret cruelty. The only secret was this. A man who had everything chose to live with nothing because he was terrified of being loved for the wrong reasons. I am not a person, she whispered. You don't have to be good. You just have to stay, he said. 3 months later, Anna stood at the porch watching the same turbines. Now she wore a simple gold band on her finger. Irina was chasing chickens with a horse in each hand. Caleb was fixing the fence, his figure small and steady against the Montana sky. The roof still sagged. The truck still rattled. Anna had planted a garden. Tomatoes, squash, and a row of sunflowers that faced east toward a country she no longer missed. She had stopped counting the turbines. She had started counting the mornings. One evening a letter arrived. It was from her mother, forwarded through the agency. Is he kind? Her mother asked. Is there food? Anna took a sheet of paper. She wrote back, there is much wind. It is a problem to have. She sealed the letter. Walked to the mailbox at the end of the gravel road. On the way she paused beside the nearest turbine. The blade passed over her close enough to feel the push of air. It made no threat. It made a low, steady song. The sound of a future she had not dared to dream, spinning quietly under the big Montana sky. That night Caleb asked her what she wanted to do with the money. She thought about it. I want to fix the porch, she said. I want a new truck. Not for you. For me. He laughed, the time she had heard him really laugh. Anything else? He asked. I want to learn to carve, she said. Carve what? He asked. She touched his hand. Horses. For my daughter. In the quiet of that simple house, with the wind turning their fortune outside the window, Anna realized that she had finally stopped preparing for poverty. She was not surviving anymore. She was home.